What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today's video is going to be a fun one that I am excited to talk about. I am not saying that this is going to be my 2024 prediction, but I am hoping that this happens in 2024 as ESPN analyst Mike Clay actually predicts the New York Jets to win the Super Bowl this year, and here are his biggest reasons to why that will happen in 2024. The first thing that's discussed is the elite level defense that the New York Jets have. In 2021, when Robert Saleh got here, the Jets defense was not very good. That first year, they were last in the NFL, dead last in the NFL, and over the next 2 years, they would improve dramatically, jumping up to fourth in EPA in 2022, and then third this past year in both EPA and defensive DVOA. So really impressive as the Jets finished as a top 3 defense in the sport and project to be around the same this year. Yes, they lost John Franklin Myers, which is something that I don't love. I'm going to be honest with you. Don't love losing John Franklin Myers. They also lost Bryce Huff. Don't love losing him. But you bring in Hassan Reddick, who, yes, is a little bit older, but is more of a proven pass rush specialist, is someone who's been a double-digit sack guy many, many times in his career and should have an immediate impact. Jermaine Johnson was great in his sophomore season, expected to be good again this year. Will McDonald, do we see a big year 2 leap from him? And then on the interior, you still have Quinnen Williams. You go outside Javon Kinlaw. They found Leonard Taylor as an undrafted free agent on that defensive line. The line's still supposed to be good. Linebacker duo, CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams, 2 of the best linebackers in football in the same rotation there. Cornerback trio is the best trio in the league with Sauce, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter in the slot. And safety's probably the weakest spot on that unit, with your starters projected to be Chuck Clark and Tony Adams. Chuck Clark, if healthy, I think is an upgrade over Jordan Whitehead. And Tony Adams was so-so last year, but if he's your weakest link, I think you can get by. The next thing that is cited by Mike Clay here is the improved offensive supporting cast. So we know we're going to get to the big one at the end here of the biggest factor of the Jets' potential turnaround and potential to win a title. But the improved offensive supporting cast, bringing in Mike Williams, when healthy, has been a very, very good wide receiver too with the Los Angeles Chargers, complementing Keenan Allen. That was one of the best wide receiver duos in football. And again, Williams, is he a number 1 receiver? No. But is he one of the, again, when healthy, a high-end number 2? Yes, I think he is. He probably starts the season a little bit on the slower side, is going to be my estimation. But similar to Breece Hall last year, who was recovering from an ACL, Williams will hit his stride as the season goes on. And he also brings up Malachi Corley, who we know is a 3rd-round rookie, but there are high expectations not only from Jet fans, but from NFL pundits on Malachi Corley. He's a really exciting player. He gets the Deebo Samuel comps for a really good reason here. And I can't wait to see what he does in this offense with Aaron Rodgers and company. And finally, he even cited Tyler Conklin as being underrated, which kind of fits hand in hand with my video yesterday. That was the point that I was trying to make yesterday. I think Tyler Conklin is an underrated tight end. I think he's good. Is he elite? No. Is he a solid, capable starting tight end in this league? I say yes. The next item on the agenda is a really important one, and that's the improved offensive line. He goes as far as calling them even formidable, with adding Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, Olu Fashanu in the draft, John Simpson in free agency. It is a really different looking unit in 2024, and they have a lot more depth than what they did last year. Unfortunately, the last 2 seasons, the New York Jets got absolutely crippled by injuries on the offensive line in particular. It's unbelievable. So Elijah Vera Tucker's health is going to play a big role. He's going back inside to right guard this year. You have a full year of Joe Tippmann at center. John Simpson should be an upgrade over Laken Tomlinson at left guard. Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, when healthy, should be significantly improved over Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton and whatever cast of characters they were running out there last year. And oh, by the way, if one of your 33-year-old tackles who was banged up last year gets hurt, Good news, you have the 11th overall pick in Olu Fashanu, who was the best pass protector in this draft class, on the hopper, ready to go and to come in and play if he needs to. I think we see him this year for somewhere around 8 games is my guess. Arguably, in my opinion, the most important, the Aaron Rodgers factor. So he goes and says there's really 3 options to what Aaron Rodgers is. Number 1 is he is back in MVP Rodgers like in 2020 and 2021. He is just completely washed and just not a good football player anymore. Or the third option is he's probably somewhere in between what he was in 2021 when he was winning the MVP and what he was in 2022 when he played through a broken thumb his final year in Green Bay and was just okay with the Green Bay Packers. If Rodgers can be a top 12 quarterback for the Jets, they absolutely can be a contending football team. They won 7 games with the 32nd best quarterbacks in the league. Whether you want to pick when it was Simeon, Boyle, or Zach Wilson starting, they had horrific quarterback play. As I cited in yesterday's video, they had 11 passing touchdowns on the season, by far the fewest in the league. That's unfathomable to think of in a 17-game season in 2024. In the modern NFL, to only have 11 passing touchdowns is just insane. And if Rodgers comes in and plays, again, just slightly above average, he's going to be really good. Even if he's right down the middle, like 16th best quarterback in the league, I think there's a chance he's better than that. If he's the middle of the road quarterback, the Jets are a playoff team. If he's closer to top 10, then that brings it from just like a playoff team to a legit contender. And that's the point that Mike Clay was making, is he thinks he's going to be somewhere in between what he was when he was the MVP and then what he looked like his last full healthy year in the league in 2022. The final thing we touch on here is the Dolphins and Bills taking a little bit of a step back on paper, and the Jets having a lighter schedule in comparison to the Dolphins and the Bills. Jets finished 3rd in the division last year, which means in theory they're going to have an easier schedule. As pointed out earlier in the week after the schedule was released and announced, the Jets have a little bit of a lighter start. I mean, yes, you're starting against the San Francisco 49ers in week 1, which is not easy. But from weeks 2 through like 5, you're in a really good spot to stack some wins. And hopefully the Jets do that in the beginning of the season, build momentum, and never look back. For the Dolphins and Bills, look, I'm going to be honest. I think they're going to be right there competing with the Jets for the division. The Dolphins, especially early on in the season, when they're playing in their own building and when they're in a warm weather area or in a dome, the offense is clicking and it looks really, really good. I think Tua is a good distributor of the football. Really, the biggest thing is if he can elevate it come crunch time. And in cold weather games, he hasn't been great. In the playoffs, it hasn't really clicked for him yet. So there's some question marks about that Miami team. They're good. It's not like I'm saying they're an under 500 team. I don't believe that to be the case. But there's some potential flaws there. And for Buffalo, they have Josh Allen, who is a top, 3 quarterback in the sport at worst. Most people probably have him as QB2. I think at absolute worst, you have him at QB like 5. But again, I think I probably put him at like 3. But moral of the story, very, very good. Top of the line quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. So he is going to keep them competitive. But let's be honest, they have lost a lot of key pieces on that defense, number 1. But then in the receiving core, yes, you have Dalton Kincaid, and I would expect him to take that next step at tight end paired with Dawson Knox. But in the wide receiver room, you're relying on Keon Coleman, who was a 2nd-round pick, to be the guy right away. Can he do it? Maybe. We've seen 2nd-round receivers come into league and pop right away, but is it a guarantee? And then you pair that up with like a bunch of like number 3 receivers after that. I don't know. Maybe they won't be as dominant as what they've been over the last few years. So, there's an opportunity in the division, number 1. They have a great defense. If they have an improved line and receiving core as well and complementary pieces. And then it really comes down to Rodgers and then after that, the coaching staff. So, again, it's May. It's way, way, way early, but I don't know if I have it in me to go and put my stamp saying the Jets are winning the Super Bowl this year. That's a little bit too rich for me. Can they compete for it? Yes, I think they're a playoff team and absolutely can be in the conversation for it. Am I going to predict it right now? Don't know if I'm there yet. Maybe, who knows? In August, maybe I'm I'm ringing the bell saying Jets winning the Super Bowl. But for now, I'll just take having a really good roster and being excited for the 2024 season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Matt, and I'll catch you next time.